What's going on, traders? Hope everybody had a great day. It is Wednesday, August 23rd, and we'll be going over an analysis of the S&P 500, the Spider ETF. But before we get into it, wanted to thank all my listeners and subscribers for joining me on this journey. Really appreciate having you. And if you would be so kind to smash that like button if you're finding this content valuable, I would really appreciate that as well. So before we get into the macro charts, reminder that this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and in no way should be viewed as financial advice. And so with that being said, let's see where we may want to engage the market, what to potentially expect into the end of the week. And it goes without saying that the markets had a beautiful move to the upside today. Markets were up about $4.88. Final print coming in at 443.03. Markets were up about 1.11%. And of course, Nvidia reported earnings after hours, propelling the markets up a bit higher, which we will take a look at here in a second. But nice beat from Nvidia, a nice market reaction. I believe Nvidia closed around 271 or so, and it hit a high in after hours at 520. So impressive move there from Nvidia after hours. So the main thing that I wanted to raise caution about, since we did have a trend day today, is that markets only have two methods of price delivery: consolidation and trend. And today we had a trend day, so it is likely that tomorrow we may see some tricky or more complex price action, consolidation, a bit of up-down movement on both sides. So let's be aware and ready for that. So earlier in the week, though, we did talk, I was talking about that I thought this week we would see some upward momentum in the markets. We were watching this oversold reading here on the daily, and now we're really starting to see some momentum come back into the issue as the Momo just tries to get outside of this these oversold conditions. But is it sustainable? That is, of course, the $100 million question. But all we're going to do, of course, is follow our plan and take it level to level. So we'll look at a couple of other different charts today as well as we go through our analysis, but let's just take a quick look here at the SPY daily. Now we were talking about also the swing low from Friday and the sequential higher lows being put in here, leading to this push. And we were talking about that potential inverted head and shoulders, right? We said this in yesterday's video: shoulder, head, shoulder, head, shoulder. You can see the higher lows being put in, as well as the fake break of the megaphone channel, the megaphone trend line here, which we recaptured, then retested, and now we pushed up higher. But you can see this neckline was pretty much at that 441 right here, and we broke that neckline today, and boom, got a nice move right up, very close into really the area I was calling out for. I believe even on Sunday, talking about this 444 being ultimately where I thought we would be headed. I'm a little surprised, to be honest, that we got here this quickly. But let's see, how we do. The encouraging things here for the bulls is that we have recaptured the daily 9, sitting at 441.44. 20 is still being elusive. We didn't close over it, although with Nvidia after hours we are trading over the daily 20 right now, which is sitting at that 444.06, and we have recaptured the daily 50 period moving average. So these are all encouraging things for the bulls as it stands. So let's just go, and I'm going to come into an area where we can see actually the after hours action here on the 12-hour chart. And right now we are trading up in the 445 50s, so to speak, right here. And I'll be looking into tomorrow. I was talking in the last video, I don't know if it was the last one or the one before this, but I was talking about potentially starting a short swing on the back test of this breakout right here, right? So we're right in the middle of basically the half gap of this supply zone. So I'm going to see about tomorrow potentially taking a starter on that position. Monthly September puts I'm looking at. I'm trying to find really a reasonable price. A little bit further out of the money than I necessarily would want, but VIX is still somewhat elevated, so it's not impossible for this to work. The delta on these is about 20, so that's pretty much the lowest I want. That's acceptable for me. So I am looking at the September, the monthly September 430 puts, trading right around $2.30 right now. The way I may trade it is take a starter tomorrow, but if we do come up into the top part of this supply here in around 444.45, I will look to add into my position. If we just end up rolling over from here, at least I have some skin in the game. I don't really like to, adding into winners for options can be a little bit more tricky. But certainly, if we got a couple of daily closes underneath 444 again, I might consider it. I'd really just have to, make a decision, at that time and what the rest of the market is looking like. But that's, a couple of ways to play it. Certainly a little bit more risky, shorting right into strength. So if you are also a bear and you're looking for a short play, maybe a look above here and fail back below that 444 is a safer way to take that trade. So there's a couple of ways that you could potentially go short right now. So I may do the starter with an ad personally, but we'll see. Either way, that's really what I'll be looking at for a potential swing. We do have the start of Jackson Hole into the weekend as well, so we'll be watching for any news coming out as far as that is concerned. Okay, so pretty much everything I wanted to go over on this chart. Let's look at a couple of other things that I was mentioning earlier. One of them was, now we didn't go over any of this. We did look at TNX a little bit, but I had been looking at this with some traders here, and was watching the TLT, and basically we had come down, as we were selling, we noticed that we were coming down right into these October lows right here, and that's really where we saw now some buys coming in. Now we did close back above the daily 9, which is encouraging for the bulls. Remember the inverse relationship here between TNX and TLT. If these are moving up, that is strong. That is a good sign for asset prices when TLT is moving up and TNX is moving down. But is this just a dead cat bounce, or do they have more upside coming in? We'll have to find out. Certainly the daily had a nice gap up, looking a bit stronger. Weekly could just be forming a bear flag. So we'll have to see, how this develops. So we could see a little bit more upside and then come back down into the 90s. I wouldn't be surprised of that. So let's watch and keep an eye on on the bonds here. Now let's take a look at TNX really quickly. I know we did go over this chart a few videos ago, as rates had really become a new center point of the market, and we were watching this daily chart here on them. You can see we tried to break over the October as well. Tried to break over the October highs, did a little look above and fail, and now we're pushing back down. However, with that potential bear flag that we're seeing on the weekly TLT, we also have an interesting situation here. Is that really going to push it? No. We also have an interesting situation here on TNX on the 10-year, in that we are maybe just doing a look below and fail now. Now, obviously, we don't have the confirmation yet. We'll see if we pop back over this 42.10 area. But look where we're retesting. We're just retesting the end of July breakout here. So coming into an area where we definitely could see buyers come back in and then this trend continue. As you can see here, the multiple touches in this area here. So I'll be keeping an eye on that as well. If now, we were just talking about how the relationship works. If TNX is going up, this is going to put pressure on equities and assets there. So, bulls want to see this die and go down, and bears want to see this just go up and continue in the upward direction that it has been going in. Really haven't broken the trend line yet here. So, I mean, technically, this really isn't bearish yet. We did put in a lower high, but overall from, July, we're still uptrending. So I haven't seen a break of the structure quite yet. But we'll definitely be monitoring that. All right, so enough of that stuff. All right, so let's take a look at some more bigger picture SPY charts really quickly. Let's come into why don't we take a look at our daily trends right here. All right, so we are going to zoom in here and see where we are now. Of course, this is a little deceptive, being that this is the daily and it's not counting the after hours action. Let me just throw it on there just so that we can really see actually what the market is doing at the moment. Now, is this sustainable for the bulls? We were on the daily. We're pretty much sitting right at this pivot where I was talking about earlier, considering shorting. Recapturing this, I'd say, is pretty bullish. Price action. So I think that's a good sign for the bulls. But certainly this can be faded, and we are coming back. We are coming into this next major trend line here on the macro. So it's very possible tomorrow, random thesis, we push up early and then we head back down. But I'm not expecting us to come all the way back down, too far. I would be more looking probably for an inside bar tomorrow to print on the daily chart. So let's see about that, as I was talking about that more complex price action tomorrow and a bit more choppy. So let's see if we just get an inside bar print here. But we potentially could, if we print 2 or 3 inside bars here, we could potentially print in a bull flag, right? And then make another move higher. So either way, we'll be ready for all scenarios. And if I get stopped out of my short, that is no big deal, especially if we manage our risk correctly. But definitely, positive developments for the bulls as we have started to close out the week. So the weekly candle will be very interesting to see how it actually ends up printing, and we'll take a look at that over the weekend, of course. All right, so why don't we take a quick peek at one more macro chart? Let's see if we got anything interesting here. No, really not too much on this one. Okay, I think that's about it. So let's start getting into our daily plan for tomorrow. All right, so we're taking a look at our day trading fibs first. And we were looking, of course, at, as I was mentioning earlier, Friday swing low, higher low, higher low. Today, higher low. 4 of them in a row. Boom. And the inverted head and shoulders we were looking at. And here's that 441 neckline break. Boom. And it sent us just right up higher. Nice move here. Obviously, this move is from, we closed around here, but this move is from the reaction from NVIDIA earnings. So we're at a really interesting spot as it stands in this 445 area. Bulls are going to need to get over that 445.75 for some more continuation to the upside. And actually what I'm gonna do, I have this balance zone kind of made in between the 0 and the 23 extension. What I'm gonna do is get a little half gap going in this one and do the same, whoops, and do the same right here. You can see this is from back in Thursday. That's our 50%. And I will throw this up right here. Boom. Okay, perfect. All right, so, if we see that continuation here over this 446, we'll call it, probably that next target. Now, of course, we've got 447, which we were looking at, but this 447.50 area as well would be the half gap, which may be where we hit. At 447 earlier is where, and this 447.50 is actually interesting because that is earlier when we were talking about where I'd be potentially adding on the short. Is right around in that area. Here's that 447.43. And it pretty much lines up 10 cents. Like I said, no support or resistance level is exactly, hitting on the penny. But I think that's interesting how that pretty much lines up. I gotta, like I said, it's gonna be a cautious trade because, besides that, it could come up, it could do a look above and fail in this area. I mean, and if the bulls really have some gusto and start to break over, especially over this 149, I could see the 450 actually potentially hitting, and that big psychological number I wouldn't be surprised to see get failed there. But either way, I got to follow my plan. Even if it goes up to 450, I don't know if I would try another short, but it could just it could end up hitting there, and then I'm stopped out where I needed to stop out, and then it ends up coming down. But either way, that's trading, right? So we'll keep an eye on that. But really, we'll be watching to see if we can hold tomorrow the close pretty much around this 443 area. If we certainly come back and retest, it could be a good opportunity for some longs tomorrow intraday. Or even a mid-candle breakout of this if we come back and retest here Wednesday's highs. So I would also keep an eye pretty much right at 440, basically 444 if we came down into there in the morning. And then, excuse me, and then bounced from there, kind of doing a mid-candle breakout on this hourly candle. Me personally, like I said, my random thesis would be that we'd get a continuation push and then we start to head back down, but pretty much end up somewhere in this range between the 78.6 and the 61.8. I wouldn't be surprised if that's we close somewhere in that range. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at our balances really quickly. And actually, let me just take a peek here. Okay, starting to get a little spicy, a little bit more room on the 4-hour to be pushed up higher. And where is value area high? Is at 50. Okay, so plenty of room there on the volume profile. But let me check the hourly really quickly on this one. No, value area high brings us up on this 10-day hourly up to 448, so that is not extended yet either. But we are extended on the 5-day hourly, and that probably is going to be the same for the 30-minute. Okay. All right, so let's get into our chart here for the rest of our balance zones for tomorrow. Let's pull those up. Okay, cool. All right, so you can see where we opened today, and I took a trade on futures actually right at the open. No, well, not right before the open, as we were trading right in here. Boom, nailed it. Didn't hold through NVIDIA ER though, but had a great trade there. Got about 30 points, give or take, 32 points, somewhere in that area. So beautiful moves to the upside. Did take a little short during lunchtime, which did not really follow through. But I thought we'd get a little bit of a pullback maybe into here and then continue this rally up higher. I wasn't really looking for much, maybe into the 441.30s, but really didn't get anything there. But that's fine. Had a beautiful move earlier, and it was on futures, not options, but took like a 8-point loss or something. Nothing too crazy. But just a great day for the bulls. Did end up playing some calls as well today, which for a nice move later in the day. But anyway, you can see here how we pretty much held this top of this balance here, right in 438. And we were talking about that yesterday. 438, 438, 35, 439, holding over that puts us in play to come back, hit that 440, and then we were looking for the top part of this balance, which we did get. And once we were hanging out here, that's where we were also saying that you can play that long, right? We're hanging out in the side of balance. That next target's going to be that 442.75, and over that we would be coming into my target that I have been looking for earlier in the week, the 444 area, which is where I was thinking about taking a potential short. Now we're hanging out right in the top of this balance. I'm going to watch this consolidation here and how this plays out. But really, it's going to be tough. If I take a swing, I'm not really looking intraday, but as far as the intraday picture is concerned, as long as, at least in the short term here, as long as we're holding over 445, we have a chance for that 446.20, this half gap area, and then over that we'll be looking into that next big area in the 447, 447.50, as we were talking about earlier on. But it's going to be really a little tough to get too bearish, at least intraday, unless at the very least we start to get back under. Certainly, I mean, even under 445, I'm not too convinced. I would probably rather see a move back below 444, 443, 80 here, breaking back below into this balance zone. I think then, you wait for a buy here to come back and back test, and then, you hit the short. We don't chase breakouts, but be watching for that come up, retest, fade back down into the 442.75, and if they break that, then we'll be going back, looking back to where we started back in the 441.75 38 area. Under that, of course, whole number, and then we probably would potentially trade back. I'll be watching again these pre-market highs. I'll keep an eye on that around the 440.50s, but technically speaking, really losing 441 should give us a dollar move back to retest this 440 for the bears. So yeah, those are pretty much the closest upside and downside targets we'll be looking at. Again, be careful tomorrow considering the trend day that we got. So we could see, again, a bit of consolidation, slower price action, up and down movements, a lot of traps. So just be aware. All right, I just realized this video is going a bit long here, so I apologize for that. Tons of things to go over. I wanted to go over TLT and TNX. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have a great rest of your night. Take care, and we'll see you on the other side.